am going to deal with a short story titled The Bet, written by a famous writer, Anton Chekhov. So, I will just convey the theme of the short story first. The theme of the short story is about capital punishment and its consequences. So, in the beginning of the short story, we are introduced to a character named Old Banker. So, a banker and a lawyer, they are all attending a party. So, in the party, all the VIPs, they are discussing about the capital punishments and its consequences. So, the banker says that it is better to die suddenly instead of having a lifelong capital punishment. So, capital punishment kills a man slowly inside the prison. So, this is the opinion of the banker. While the other person, the lawyer, says it is actually the main aim of the human being is to be alive, is to live in this world. What's the point of death? Whether it comes suddenly or whether it comes prolongingly, what is the point in it? So he says capital punishment is okay. If a man was supposed to live in the prison for more than 15 years, means he will do it willingly. Instead of dying, hanging, instead of dying. That is the point of view of lawyer. So they both keep on arguing, and at one time the banker makes an announcement. He says, if this particular lawyer is ready to take the bet, yes, if he is ready to take the bet, if he is ready to live in the prison for 15 years, that is his own house, if he is ready to live there means, he says, I will give you $2 million by the end of the 15th year. So this is the bet given by the banker. And the lawyer also willingly takes it. He says that, okay, I am ready to stay in that particular house, your garden house, for 15 years, but towards the end, that is the end of the 15 year, you are supposed to give me a cash of 2 millions. They both agreed, and the banker comes out a list of terms and conditions. So list of terms and conditions is something like you are not supposed to step out of the house for 15 years. So what are all the things he needs? Everything will be given through a small window. Food items, his music or drinks, liquor, books. So whatever he needs, everything will be given through a small window. And he was not supposed to write letters or to make any other communications to the nearby person. So these are all some of the list of instructions which has been listed out, and both the lawyer and the banker, they signed the document. And now our lawyer, the young lawyer, so both are young, both the lawyer and the banker, they are young fellows. Now our person, the lawyer, started living this solitude life inside the house given by the banker. So just see the timing. I have given the timing of the 15 years. It's from the 12 o'clock of November 14, 1870 to 12 o'clock of November 14, 1885. So right by the time the 12th of November 14, 1885, the banker has to give $2 million to the lawyer if he successfully happened to live the solitude life. So I hope up to this the story is clear to all. So 15 years of confinement, how lawyer lived during that particular time. What are all the experiences he has undergone? So that's what we are going to see now. So in the first year he was heavily depressed and he felt a sort of loneliness because he is not used to it. And then he didn't touch any tobacco or wine, he didn't take any liquor because he says that having drinks which always kindles the desire in a person. It will always motivates them to do wrong things. So saying this, he didn't touch any tobacco or wine in the very first year. And the third thing, he started reading books, a lot of books with light characters and complicated love plots and sensational stories. So these are all the content based on which he started read books during the first year of his confinement. Next, in the second year, he read classics. So classics we all know, very old stories or mythological stories, epics. And in the fifth year, the writer hasn't given anything about the third and fourth year because it is a short story, he is skipping certain incidents. And during the fifth year, he started drinking wine and overeating and sleeping. So it's not that very easy for a person to live without entertainment. So he started drinking and overeating and sleeping. So these are all the things which he did during the fifth year. And the next sixth year, he started studying languages, philosophy and history. So he is becoming a bookworm slowly. He started studying many languages, philosophy and history, and in the story itself Anton Chekhov gives a short note that within this confinement of 15 years the lawyer happens to learn 6 languages within a short period of time. So he learned 6 languages, as I already said, and in the 10th year he read Gospels and theology and history. So he is becoming quite a pious person, a divine person. He started reading Bible, Gospel and theology. Theology we all know, books related to religion, and he also read historical books also. And then in the last 2 years, that is the 14th and the 15th year, he read many books related to literature and science. So these are all the things which he did during the 15 years. By looking at all these lists, we can understand that this particular man has become a voracious reader who had just imbibed all the content in many books. So he has become a very good leader during this, reader during this 15 years of time. So next, what happens? Now what happens is the problem arises for our banker. Now he is supposed to pay the cash of 2 million to the lawyer. So actually our prisoner, somewhat like who lived the life of a prisoner, the lawyer, he had been confined himself for 15 years. During this course of time, he had become a very good reader. Simultaneously, during the same time, our banker, who has been living outside, who has been mingling along with the people in the world, he has become a spendthrift. Yes, he had spent lavishly a lot of money. He had just, he was not at all a frugal by this time. So now he is running out of money. So now he is planning to kill this particular lawyer because he is not in a position to hand over 2 million. The money which he has in his hand is just 2 million. If he happens to give this to lawyer, means definitely he would become a pauper, a beggar the very next day. So he thinks, what can I do? So he at last decides to kill this man. The very next day, the agreement and the 15 years is coming to an end. So before the time ends, I think I have to kill him. So some way or the other, he thinks, I will kill him and the entire blame will fall on the watchman who is appointed to take care to guard the house. So he steps out of the house during the middle of the night and he enters the room. And there inside the room, he happens to see the lawyer sitting in front of the table. And over the table, there was a neat paper filled with a list of rules and agreements. A neat letter was there. And near to the letter, there was a candlelight, which was lit up. So he observes everything through the window. And at last, he just takes the key and opens the lock. The lock which has been locked for the past 15 years. It just opens the door with a creaking sound. Right when the door opens, he was expecting the lawyer to run to him because the first time he is meeting a human being after 15 years. So the banker expected the lawyer to run towards him happily, but nothing such happens. He opens the door, he enters in, he observes what was written in that letter. That particular person, lawyer, was sitting on the chair, idle, without doing anything. He was simply staring at the letter and the candlelight. He was not even aware of the banker's entry. So the particular banker, he just takes the letter and he starts reading it. What is the content of the letter is, all the 15 years which I had been living here, I have understood what the life is. I have been confined to this one house, the one home for the past 15 years, but I have seen many battles, seen many foreign countries. Yes, I have just mesmerized by the beauty of many girls, and I have lived my life through the books that I have read. It has given me everything. My imaginative power has given me everything to live the life. So it is not that I felt the entire life is filled with depression. No, it's not at all like that. I relished all these 15 years, and at the same time, I was detached with this worldly life. I don't have any likings for your money, for your property. I don't have any likings to be among relations. I don't have any likings to get married and to have children or to have wife. So I am devoid of all these desires now. I want to lead a life of a saint or somewhat like a philosopher or like a hermit in a wood, in a forest. So that's my desire right now. So I will break the agreement on my own. I will step out of this particular house before the timing ends, as it mentioned in the agreement. So you will not be in need to pay the money which you have promised me earlier. So mentioning all these things clearly, the man was sitting silently, and a banker happens to read the entire content in the letter, and he was taken aback. He couldn't believe his own eyes, because he came here to kill the lawyer, but what the lawyer has mentioned is completely opposite to that. So overwhelmingly he happily kisses the lawyer, because now there is no need for him to give the 2 million cash, right? He kisses the lawyer and happily he comes home. So next, the flight of the prisoner. The very next day, the watchman comes and informs to our banker about the flight of the prisoner, and he says that our prisoner, he had run away from the home. He didn't speak to anybody, and he didn't say the reason for why he is leaving, but he has left the place. And our banker was quite happy on one side, and at the same time he feels sorry for this prisoner, and he just rushes to the particular home. He just takes the letter, and without anyone's knowledge, he doesn't want the entire city to speak about the letter content. He just hides the letter inside the fireproof safe. He just hides it, and then he just locks it, and the reason behind the letter, the real content of the reason behind his flight, remained a secret throughout. So this is the actual content of the story. And what is the theme of the story? The theme of the story is impact of confinement and its consequences. If you lock a particular human being in one place for a several time, even if you provide them all the basic needs, at one particular point of time they will get detached with all the worldly things and worldly materials around them. So they will become quite divine. So this particular man has become quite divine and psychologically aloof. It's because of the books he has read. It's not that everyone will be like that. Our lawyer has turned out to be a philosopher or somewhat like a pious person. It's all because of the books he had read. So this is the main content of the story. I hope you are all able to follow. So in the upcoming videos, I will be just giving a short gist of summary about other famous short stories. So thanks for listening patiently. Thank you.